Welcome to another exciting episode of Saturday Shade. I'm your host, Nene Kabutey. And on today's topic, we are going to talk about why is there a stigma of having kids out of wedlock. And to do so, I have some amazing people joining me today. We have Miss Raven Lemon. This is her first time on the podcast. We have Delali. She is not a stranger. Welcome back. And welcome back, J Rose, as well. How you guys doing today? I'm not gonna
Hey.
Good. Viewers and listeners at home, don't forget to join us on Twitter, SS with Kabutey, IG, Saturday Shade, and do not forget to hashtag Saturday Shade as well. So let's get into this conversation. So why do you guys think there's so much stigma about of having kids out of wedlock? And that was like, where do we start?
Right. I want to know what's behind that laugh.
Well, you know what my mind goes to. Papa was a rolling stone.
Rolling them stones and rolling around.
That was his whole. Yeah, that's where my mind go to.
You know, I'm so glad you said that. Because I think we always like to start this conversation and put it on women, but we don't realize that men can get a different woman pregnant every day of the year, and a woman can only have one baby in a year.
Come on. You better tell the truth right now.
So it's funny because whenever you first brought this up to me, I was thinking, I'm not Christian. I was raised Kojic, which is like, if you guys are familiar, that's like extreme. And I just think it's so funny because when we have these conversations, it's more like you didn't get married rather than all these steps that we could. I'm going to start by saying I don't believe in it. I did it. I have my own personal reasons, but I don't believe in it because there's this thing about responsibility and then structuring your life and then what you want to have for your children if you wanted children. Now, a lot of people have children and did not want children, but they ended up being parents.
Yeah.
You get what I mean? So it's like so much to unpack because at the end of the day, it's like, it's not necessarily a horrible thing to say you shouldn't do it, but it's like, why are you suggesting it? And are you doing preventative steps or are you just condemning people after it's happened?
Wow. Yeah, but I sang the song because I feel that the stigma comes from our fathers, our men, who I love. Let me make that clear.
Okay.
I love my men, all right? I do, but we got to be honest. They've had family on one side of town, and then you meet another family on the other side of town, but he was only married to your mama. He wasn't married to, and so it becomes that issue of, now wait a minute, daddy out there, but still going back to what Raven said, being able to take care of your family. You're not just going out there just having, but taking care of your family. But if I focus on the stigma of it, that's where my mind goes to, that my father stepped out on my mom, right? And so now we got a problem. Ooh. And it's not the kid's fault.
No.
It's not the kid's fault.
Kind of it's so different that you say that because I was talking to my friend that's from Senegal. So I was in Ghana. I kind of saw how things are slightly ratchet out there sometimes when it comes to this. And obviously, you know how Black people are. So, and he was talking about how he finds it so odd, not only the stepping out thing, but more so that people don't introduce their kids to each other.
Yeah, and they find out in schools and stuff because they have the same last name.
My sister, and my brother are all born in the same year from different women. Okay.
So what now?
My sister, my brother, and me are all born within a few months of each other in the same year. So my brother is January, June, and my sister's September. And all in Birmingham, and nobody knew about each other, right? But let me get to the best part. My dad's mom, I don't really deal with them that much, even though they, it is what it is. She knew about all my dad's children, right? And so my sister and brother were actually at the same high school, and then I know they were related, And I met him at a football game and had no idea he was my brother. Thank God nothing happened. But that's kind of like my biggest thing is the fact that, like you're talking about, exactly. So you just not gonna tell nobody that they about to date their brother? Like we just gonna sit here and watch this happen?
Yeah, that's some Alabama stuff.
That's not. Look, I'm gonna tell you, like they say in Ghana, you gotta wait to the funeral to find out if your dad cheated on you.
Yes, because sometimes you don't see the names on the the flyer until you get to the brand. It's like people just start coming out of nowhere. I'm like, yo, what the? I've seen it. I know a few people personally but some of the same people that I know actually did take care of all their kids, regardless of how many kids they had outside. Basically, I respect them for that.
At least let people know, though. That's my biggest thing. It's like when you're out here.
Yeah.
But Raven, how did you find out? How did you get to know your siblings? Like, how did that happen?
So I'm gonna tell you what's really crazy. So I'm trying to be polite because my dad's mom has passed on. So I'm trying not to, I mean, she's trying to be respectful of how things went. So I had actually heard about 3 siblings I didn't know of, right? 2 for one woman and then him. And then let me tell you, I know about the other 8 I know, but those ones I didn't. Yes, it gets better. And this is not an thing alone. Yeah. I guess I was in the right conversation today. So basically, when I was maybe like 14 or so, because I'm from Alabama, but I moved around. So I kept asking my dad's mom, I was like, how many siblings do I have? And why would this woman never tell me? I don't know. So anyways, I kept asking her. 2 years after that is when I saw the one I'm talking about now at a football game. And I was like, oh, he's cute. Not in an attractive way, but I was like, oh, he look kind of familiar. He cute. 2 years later, he messages me on Facebook and he's like, hey, grandma dad told me about you. I was like, grandma dad? Like, that's the F? I'm like, hold on. He's like, oh, yeah, I'm your brother. And I was like, oh, you're the Jacoby I heard about. And it was just like, it was so ratchet. Now that I think about it, I'm like, yeah, like, like it was like it was a normal conversation. But again, I know my, like you said, Pop was a Rolling Stone. So anybody can come and tell me that they related to me, I don't question it.
Hey, I'm the same way. If somebody has the same last name as me,
the last name that I have, anybody from Jamaica, from Texas, from Philly or Pittsburgh or whatever, or Louisiana, they say I'm related to Alabama. I'd be like, oh, okay, cool, another one.
Wow, Alex, what you got to say? Because you look like you just like.
Well, my situation, my dad, he flew me and my brother out to Colombia. So I remember the first day we got there, and I'm like sleeping, whatever, and he woke me up. So you could basically tell me anything in the morning. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever, and I'm going back to sleep. So he told me, he said, yo, get ready in an hour. Y'all gonna go meet your brother and sister. So I'm like, all right, whatever, and I went back to sleep. And then when I got up, I told my brother, I said, man, I had the craziest dream. Our dad came in and he was just like, yo, we got a younger brother and sister, whatever. So they're like, I'm 33. Well, at the time I was like 25, 26. And they were like, Amy is 4. She was 4. And Santiago, he was like 9. And I'm like, wait, what? Like,
so you had no idea until you went to Colombia?
I had no idea.
I wish my daddy will.
Blindside.
I wish he will. He watched this, so I know. I wish he will.
Like, I'm gonna need you to sit me down and give me dinner and give me a gift or something.
But that's what I'm gonna say, though. I wonder would the stigma still be the same if those people who are responsible would sit down and have those conversations? I know that's got to be tough to deal with. That's got to be because I don't know if y'all. I watched Atlanta Fix My Life and all that good stuff, and they had Terrell Owens on there, and he lived across the street from his daddy. Yeah. But he had a whole wife, he had a whole family, but that was a part of his story that explained why he was in the emotional state, and they have to go back to the root of stuff, but that was his root, and I could not imagine to be a child out of wedlock and live across the street from my daddy and not be acknowledged.
You know what's crazy? I mean, I know that was a topic for today, but I feel like, we've actually delved into like different aspects of this whole thing. I'm like, damn, this was about to get real. But I just realized for some people, right, I think it's because of the shame that comes with it. It's the shame. I mean, yes, from a Christian background, I mean, I know most people are like, well, it's in the Bible. You need to have, you have to like get married before having kids. That's the right thing to do. But at the same time, I've seen people in my family and other people who have actually done it the other way around. To me, it's fine. I mean, if you're taking care of your kids, I don't think there should be a shame, because I know a few people who got pregnant, and Delali, you probably know this by now, maybe you as well, where because they got pregnant, they had to get married to people who got them pregnant because they're like, you're not about to have a kid when you're not married. So it's like literally it's being shoved down your throat to get married before the kids arrive. I've been to a friend's wedding when she was actually pregnant and it was spoken out. I'm like, yeah, just doing the most. Y'all could have just done this in the courthouse and be done.
But you know what's so funny, but that you say that, right, is that when you see those people rushing just to get married and stuff, nowadays, I think the difference is, one, I'm not saying I agree with that. Let me start by saying that. Because I believe in family planning. You know, like my community
somebody.
Like, you know, I've always believed in it, but now that I got more into seeing stuff and getting different cultural backgrounds and understanding more about African perspective on things, right, I stand firm on what I think, because it's not about Christianity or condemning somebody. It's just, this is what I think is right.
Yeah, what is right is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because when you say like people rushing to get married and stuff like that, you typically see that nowadays you can't even rush these men to marry you. Like these, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, you know, before where it was a level of accountability. And I think that's the thing is like, what we're talking about is we believe in accountability regardless of whatever. You were two adults, something happened, boom, boom, boom. But what I did want to bring up when you say rush to marry, I deal with a lot of men and women, okay, who have been victims of trap babies. A lot of people find somebody who's responsible, right? So they feel like, oh, this person cares about how people see them, or they feel like this man is responsible. I can't get him another way. And there's still some accountability on the part of some people, because you shouldn't have been having sex with no person with a low self-esteem.
But real quick though, when you said like, you know, what's called they take care of themselves, but somebody can be like good at taking care of you in a relationship, right? That doesn't mean when you have a kid, they're going to be doing the same thing.
Right.
But
they'll be probably terrible at that.
Don't really care. I'm gonna be real. A lot of men and women, right? A lot of people don't really care about kids. They care about the whole picture, right? So if it's a woman who wants to be married and wants to have children, or if it's a man who wants a woman and doesn't want her to go to someone else, they'll get kids to try to keep that together. But it's not necessarily a matter of wanting to have children. It's more like, oh, I want the whole package. And if I don't get the whole package, you can take your kids and go, right?
Yeah.
So,
we'll be on our way.
And I think that's kind of the issue with the whole wedlock thing, is because once you do the family planning aspect first, you get married or whatever, again, back to accountability, it's not that you can't get divorced tomorrow. It's not that the person can't cheat on you and do the certain things, but it's like, for you, you have that piece where, okay, I did the steps. So at least you can't say, oh, I was out here, you know, living with you for 3 years and had kids by you, and then you left and got married. I'm surprised, because you're not surprised.
Wow. But I have a question though. I mean, this goes to Alex and Raven. I know you guys kind of like found out you have siblings in a different way, which is not like, I mean, everyone's story is very different. Yeah. So what was your first instinct, or how did you feel about that towards them and towards maybe your parents as well? Like, how did you feel?
At first, I was shocked. Of course,
you thought you had a dream, first of all.
Yeah. But the main thing was I wanted my younger brother and sister to embrace me. I really didn't. I wasn't angry. Of course, I was shocked for the most part, but I definitely wanted them to embrace me, and that's exactly what they did. Like Santiago, I'm thinking he was probably going to be like, I don't know them. I don't know these two older guys or whatever. But as soon as I came in, he gave me a hug. You know, he was always like holding my hand, and you know, I remember when I have a picture, he was like grabbing my beard, because a lot of men out there don't have beards and stuff. So that was the biggest thing for me. I just wanted them to embrace me. Because, you know, and that's why I'm working so hard right now. So if they want to, you know, come to, you know, Houston, come to America, I want to be able to take care of them and make sure they're good.
Hey, that's a good big brother. I don't know about y'all, but if I find out maybe some, like, I don't know, probably my dad will have to like, whew, no, I don't know. Yeah. You know, it's like, you don't know what your reaction will be until you end up being in that situation. We can say whatever we want to say, but I don't think no one actually knows exactly how they will feel or react in that moment.
I think going back to what he's talking about, I think it's different when you're the older sibling or a brother versus a sister, and then you had a relationship with your father, right? In my case, and I'm just going to speak my truth. So my dad, I don't even know how many kids my dad has. Let me start by saying that. But the ones that I know of and the ones that I look like, I feel more of a connection to the ones that look like me. You know?
It makes sense. Yeah.
My mom has 2 kids by him. And then I'm trying to think, I don't know how to number right. So let me start. My oldest brother is by my dad. I'm very close to him, but he looked just like my son. Okay.
Okay.
But the thing is, I met some of the ones that I met when I was younger. I didn't understand they were my siblings because I didn't see them. But when I was, just we have the same last name, we look alike, we have certain mannerisms. And once I gave them a chance, I like them. But then I have a whole side of them that I don't deal with, and they reach out to me and stuff. But it's like, I want nothing to do with y'all. And it's not, but it's my right. Like, I don't have to deal with all my my father's biological, because I have nothing to do with him. You get what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I do talk to his family and some of the kids that he has, or some of my siblings. But then I think the biggest part about it is how you find out, and then what type of people they are. Because it's like when you grow up in the house with your siblings, you get a chance to get to know them. You grow with them. You have this kind of like patience for them. You're close. The
good and bad. Yeah.
Yeah. But then it's like, I'm not calling no names, but then when one of them like super ratchet and she's very trifling and she's doing all types of craziness, and she's like, "Oh, hey sis," when it's convenient. No, I'm good. Then I'll have people come up to me. I'm like, "Look, I know how many kids he got approximately. You don't look like one of them, so I'm gonna leave you with that." But I'm close on my brothers. But that's only because, again, when the one that I met latest, the last one I met, and he has another kid after that. It's like 5 or 6 or something. I met this one. Yeah, at first, I was very confused because back in the 90s, nobody knew about the other kids. But now they know about the other kids, and y'all still, but that chick actually ended up making him a single father. So that's a whole nother. Sorry.
Wow, this topic is actually, no, because I like when we have conversations like this. These things happen in real life. Sometimes we just see them on TV, or maybe you read stories about them, you see someone tweet about certain things and like, oh wow, this is really happening. But to hear someone actually say that, you're like,
I think that getting to the point, right? I think that you have the right to choose, right? I do want to know about all of them because they are related to me, right? Like I recently found out I had an uncle that I didn't know about. My mom found out she had a brother after 42 years, right? But she heard about it. And her father only has 2 children, which is her and this one, right? So that was a whole different situation because I believe, without giving too much, I think his mom was married or whatever when she got pregnant by him or something like that. So, that wasn't really his fault on that one. His fault on the fact that he didn't know about that child, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing is, for me, that I go back to is a lot of times as parents, we try to make the best decisions for our children. Some parents, like me, if my son has biological siblings, when you get to be older and I know it's safe, then you can meet them, right? But right now, I wouldn't be trying to do no ratchet stuff like having co-birthday parties and all of that. No, I want my child raised right. like you.
Hey, you need your own TV show.
Yeah. Raymond, let me produce one for you. I'll produce it for you. Come on. Let's
start listening to this stuff. I was going to be like, God, this is amazing.
The crazy thing is, I would say I was more upset with everybody else around that knew that probably didn't even pull me to the side. Yeah, they didn't tell me rather than him. So, but like that was my main thing for them to embrace me. Like I talked to Santiago. He ended up moving to Spain with his mom. So I talked to him on that, what's that WhatsApp? Or whatever.
WhatsApp,
yeah. I talk to him on that all the time. And even with Amy, every time I talk to my younger sister, she called me for my birthday last month. Like I just be in tears. Like I have like a soft spot for him. So.
But I guess it's interesting that you say that because I think the reason that we have the relationship that we have now is because everybody around us was hiding it from us, right?
Okay.
So my mom only knew so much and she told me everything. So I will give her credit for that one. But when it came to him, like my biological father, I can count how many times I talk. Like he follows me on Facebook and don't deal with me. Like he's weird, but then I learned about that side later. His mom knew, the mom didn't tell me, you know what I'm saying? I don't know too many of his aunts and whatnot. And then also they kind of like look at it like, oh, he ratchet, so we don't want nothing to do with it.
I see that.
So it was like, for me, I was more upset about the fact that, if y'all knew about these kids 18 years and y'all didn't feel the need to tell me, ain't no need to tell me now. That was my feeling of it. Doesn't mean it right, but that's my truth.
Yeah, I was going to ask you because I feel like that actually makes you resent them for not telling you at the right time. I guess sometimes, let's say if they're young, right, maybe like 12, maybe between 6 and 12, you don't want to tell them, okay, I get it. But once they become like 13, 14, 15, I think that's we can like have those conversations with them for them to understand. But I guess some people just like they don't want to. They feel like the kids were not able to take it, but you just never know what someone can take.
So that's the problem, right? Because somebody's selfish enough to go and have on the topic of Rolling Stones, right, and Wedlock and different things like that. I'm thinking of people who step out on marriages, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And also the Rolling Stones, more so than people who just get together, have sex, and then boom, there's a baby. Because that's a very simple thing. Either you co-parenting or y'all toxic or whatever, right?
And you know what you can always do if you're not ready to have a baby? Just put one of these on. It works. It works. Just put one of these on. It works.
You know, and
just saying.
So make sure it don't burst.
Yeah.
You just had those laying around.
Listen, I have them everywhere. Like, I mean, I'm
just ready for whatever.
I'm having my car, my pocket. I mean, yeah.
You know, it's so funny because I made this trip. I don't know if this is appropriate or not, but
anything that's appropriate on this podcast.
I would travel with, like, you know, whenever you go to Ghana, different places, and on that list, I included condoms, I included Plan B, I included female condoms. Like, there's no reason, or that's why I always say, like, there are some cases, you know, like there's situations where something happened against your will or something you're not privileged to, you don't know, different things like that. But in general, if you're consensually having sex with somebody, there is no reason to be getting pregnant by that person in 2021. Like, unless one of you were being reckless or intentional. And I know, because my background's in reproductive justice, right? So the more I talk to people and you hear certain things, you're like, oh, so you mean to tell me that this guy gets every woman he get with pregnant, and then whichever one.
And I know a few people like that who just be distributed.
There's some women, and I'm not saying my stance on, you know, pro-choice, pro whatever, all that, but there are some women, like somebody in my family, who gets pregnant by every single guy that she gets with, and if the guy wants her, she keep the baby, you know, and that's how she ended up getting married. So there are women who do it, and even in Ghana, I saw it. Like, you know, there are some ladies who, if they feel like the guy has something, they go and get pregnant by him because it's a financial thing. And it's
them slave queens, 10 housewives.
Is that if they get to be a housewife, and if they don't get to be a housewife, they have 3 or 4 kids by 3 different wealthy people. They send the kids off, then they finally get married, and it's like, okay, you got another set of family, but then they're getting the money. And so that's why
look so like, damn, this is happening in this world.
Oh, yeah. but no. You see it all the time where the woman uses that to get the man. So it's not even about the child. And that's why I say
that the man too.
Adults' responsibility to, I mean, not to digress, but it's the adult's responsibility to, if you know that you have a child and you've got several children, and let's just say, for instance, you weren't married, you just out there living your best life, enjoying yourself, your life, whatever it may be. I think you should be adult enough to have conversations. Okay, this is my child. If you don't want to take them to the birthday party, I'm going to take them to the birthday party because they're siblings and they should know each other. As young kids, not when they get older, because when you get older, now you got problems because I don't want to meet you at this point. But what would happen if I teach you at a young age, I did some things, I didn't marry, you know, and your people, your parents come to you as humans and say, hey, I did X, Y, and Z. But because of this, you have a brother, a sister, and then you all meet as young people and grow up together. Now, your mamas, even though if you got different mamas, that's fine. Y'all mamas don't have to be together.
You gotta be friends.
But relationship where you train your children to embrace each other.
And I think the biggest problem that I see in the Black community, not to throw all of us under Black American, Southern Black American, like, you know, from the South, is that, okay, we all got the same baby daddy. I hate that term, by the way, with the vengeance. We got the same baby daddy. So it's on the women now to go get all his children together and have birthday parties when you know, that's my biggest thing is, like, I think, like you say, the accountability aspect. So when you're out here doing whatever, just be accountable. Like, if I was younger, again, like you said with your dad, you had a relationship with him. You get what I mean? So even though he went about it in a horrible way, right? I mean, you know, like you said, you thought you had a whole dream or something. He still did the work.
Alex, like, a dreamer.
I don't know if y'all ever had a conversation about it, but like with mine, you know, he tried to play victim when I spoke to him about it. And I was just like, yo, like, you a grown man. Like,
victim? How is he going to play victim? Like, how?
You didn't fall into a vagina and just be like, pew, 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 pew. You know, it
like, you know, I know you say you hate the word baby daddy, right? I know people who actually call them sperm donors. I'm like, actually, that's a very respectful way to call them because
I don't even look at it like that. I think the biggest thing is, like, so without getting too much into it, going back to why I believe in family planning and not having children out of wedlock, the stigma itself, I don't think is necessarily wrong, but it's the why, right? Are we having a stigma again? Like in the US, what I really don't like about a lot of things is we don't prevent stuff. We wait until it happens, then we want to condemn you. When the whole time you could have been teaching about condoms, you could have been teaching about consent. You could have told this girl, hey, like I know a girl that's 19 and just had a kid by somebody who was older than her, okay? And her folks don't see nothing wrong with it. Like she was 17 when she got pregnant, right? And she just turned 19. But the thing is, when I was talking to her and different stuff, it's like even the stuff I was still hearing people tell her, I was like, that's not okay. Like, sis, don't listen to them. Leave that person alone, this and that, because at the end of the day, when you have a child, the parent, like, and this is kind of my issue. Like, I typically wouldn't date a man that has a child. I am dating one now, but that's a different thing. But if you are a man, in my opinion, especially with an African-centered background, your job is to take care of your child. Taking care of your child when they're not old enough to take care of themselves is taking care of the mother too. You know what I mean? So it becomes a whole mess about boundaries, and a lot of people don't have boundaries. But then at the same time, like, you know, they don't have boundaries. And these same people that don't have boundaries, you know, like I said, they want to play victim. They don't want to be accountable. They feel like, oh, this and this, or this person trapped me, this and that. Like, but at the end of the day, if you went into the situation correctly, like I want kids or I don't want kids, like men can have birth control. Like you can go get a snip and then go reverse it. Like it.
They're doing that now. A lot of them are doing that now.
The Republicans are doing that. So my thing is like, condoms so much. It's easier for you to go get that. And with me, I gotta take hormonal birth control. I gotta put a rod in my vagina. Okay. I gotta time this and that. Like it's just so easy not to. And I think that's my biggest thing with the stigma is like, instead of bullying people who made decisions, and I'm not saying, and some people that I know somebody who is younger and she just gave up on men, or she's like, you know, she's gay. And she was like, you know what, I'm just gonna go have a child by a man that's like in his 60s or something, or 70s. So not my choice. Okay. Her story. A lot of these stories come to me because of the work I do. And she's like, yeah, so the kid can have him until he get a little older. Then when he dies, he'll have something left over, and I don't have to share a child.
See, that part I'm like, okay. I mean, not her, but
a lot of people are out here really like, okay, I want a child and I want a parent that's not going to be around.
Yeah. Wow.
It just sounds like a moral shift.
It is.
And our morals are shifting. Yeah.
It's, you know, I'm glad we actually like, so even though this was a topic of conversation, it literally opened up different aspects of things that just happened. And in general, we are like, wow, this stuff is actually really happening. People don't even realize that it's like, it's really happening. And I always tell people like, we watch what's called reality TV shows. We judge these people at the same time. It's happening in real life. You just don't see it on TV.
I think for reality TV and different stuff too is I used to be very confused because when I was growing up, like I don't know, I have a professor that at TSU, I love her to death. She was like, "You grew up in a black cocoon." I was like, "I didn't grow up in a black cocoon. I grew up with home training." You know, it's kind of, you know, and so maybe it's like home training is not the norm anymore, or like culturally with a lot of us. Even like I saw, you know, not to get too off topic, I saw this woman in Ghana who took naked pictures with her like 7 or 8 year old son, and she got in trouble.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, and
I know. I'm not even gonna give it.
People were defending the fact that she got in trouble for it, but at the end of the day, it kind of comes down to, I think we have to come together and create a set of morals. Once we have that set of morals, you know, where it's preventative, but just you doing this and that, like running to get married to somebody, then getting a divorce within a year is not the answer, and that's what happens. Mm-hmm. You know,
listen, that's what I say all the time. I'm like, I don't want to get married for breakfast. Okay. I don't want to sign the divorce, get divorced by dinner. I'm not doing that. Okay. If we're in this, we're going to be in it forever. Okay. So let's do us apart. I'm a firm believer in that, you know. But then again,
I've had like a lot of my family and then even myself, like I won't really define my faith, but I practice a lot of Muslim values. And I know a lot of my sisters will, because like in Islam, like not Islam, in the culture, right? They'll literally see somebody 2-3 days because they don't believe in dating and get married, right? But I know some sisters out here, I saw this in Ghana too.
Listen, Ghana is not an angel. I mean, we have our moments, so.
Oh no, I always say that because people be like, "Oh, you glorify." I'm like, no, real life happens everywhere. But I know sisters who go and get married all the time.
It's fine.
Literally, go get married to a guy just to have sex with him, and then next month break up and get married to another man just to have sex with him because they're trying to find loopholes and stuff. And I'm like, yo, just.
This is not a test and trial stuff. Like, this is real life. People, it's not. And people just think it's, I'm like,
But I think
honestly, sometimes I can't even find the words to like describe the kind of like foolery. Like, come on now.
Foolery is it. But the thing, I think of the wedlock thing too, is a lot of people have not really seen examples of what it looks like to have two people. I'm going to go from the straight perspective, a man and a woman, in the household who know how to get along with each other, who know how to work with each other's issues, who know how to raise kids. So they've seen the foolery, they've seen the TV shows, they've seen this and that, right? And so for them, it's like, oh, well, let's go have a kid and move in and then see how we do. And I'm like, no. And on the opposite side of that, some people are so rushed into marriage where they're like, oh, I'm 25, let me hurry up and get married, live my best life on the side or whatever, or, 30, whatever it be, especially like in the African tradition where it's like marriage is something you're expected to do. It's not a goal, it's more like a expectation. Whereas
my dad is still trying to send me to Africa.
Delali, we understand. I'm like,
okay, like,
my dad trying to send me to Africa so I can get married and give him a grandchild. I'm
like, hold on, y'all doing too much. I'm like, y'all settle down. This is 2021. Settle down. Don't put no pressure on me.
Though, I think it depends on, like, again, your cultural background, because to me the biggest thing is, can you take care of your child?
Yeah,
right.
That is always a good. That's the first thing you need to think about. Because if not, sit your little behind down somewhere. Use a condom. Just do whatever you want to do. Keep going, but don't bring a child in and not be able to do that.
Like, sex is not something. It's not a workout. It's not like. And I think that when you go back to the moral shift, it's not. A lot of us, we want to turn against what's right and wrong because we want to make everything about religion or colonization, right? But at the end of the day, you should not be having sex with every person you come in contact with, spiritually, physically, medically, whatever. It's not just, I believe that some white, like I hear a lot of people talk about polygamy, right? And they don't realize that a lot of Africans don't practice polygamy. There are some that do. But then even like I was talking to my friend's grandmother, she's in Ghana, right? She's like old woman, maybe like 80s. She's like, even back then when we were married to our husband, like there were multiple. She's like, we didn't just have sex all day for fun. It wasn't like he was just here, like every day.
Like it's a roster, like going at certain times. Oh wow!
Like, no, we were together for a reason. And then there are people who don't believe in polygamy. Like polygamy is not the same as cheating. So even still, you want to push like I heard somebody say, oh, do you think if we believe in polygamy, there wouldn't be as many kids out of wedlock? But y'all not marrying one woman, so how you gonna marry three?
Mm-hmm. That actually brings in the whilst we wrapping this up. So would any of you, including myself, be open to be in like a polygamous relationship?
In a whole relationship? Let me tell you something. Because I have met some polyamorous along the way, my friend.
Say that story.
Listen, I do get it. Now, I'm not a person who believes that your mate has to be your everything. Mm-hmm. I'm not one of them. I don't believe that because we are human. It's not going to fly right. I can't be everything, and I'm not going to try to be everything. I think that's why it's important to be whole, two whole people to come together instead of two half people, but two whole people come together to make that thing work. But let me tell you something. We are not about to trip and dip from one person to the next. Yes, put that shade side up. We're not gonna do that because you say you love that I can cook, and then you love that she like to go to the basketball game, and then you love that she want to do threesomes and all this kind of stuff. And we're not gonna do that. You're gonna pick one, right? You're gonna pick, but in saying that I couldn't do it, I don't knock.
Okay, people. You couldn't do it. Okay,
but the thing about what you're
Raven,
saying,
how about you?
From someone who like comes from like a traditional background, right? I think it's so important that what you just equated is the BS that we hear guys here talking about. Oh, I love that she doesn't. But polygamy is not about love. Okay, like I have a friend from Liberia. His grandfather had like 5 wives, right? And I've seen different people who do these things. Polygamy is about, I have one woman who couldn't have kids, right? Women didn't have rights to own, from a Muslim perspective or from an African traditional perspective. This one's going to run the farm and have children. This one's a busy woman and she just wanted a child, but she want to still be able to go live her life. Like you look at the type of women who are in polygamy, not people who are in polyamory or who are, emotionally attached. If you can't commit to one woman, you can't commit to 4, and that's the thing. If you cannot commit to one woman, like I I went on this rant yesterday about cheaters, you know, and my thing is this: you want me to build with you, but you can't keep your dick to one place. Like, so I got to worry about, okay, we're going to buy land, okay? We got 3 or 4 kids, so I got to worry about you having more kids than they want to come fight over the land. I got to worry about you got this woman thinking she about to walk up in my house. No, go by her house.
So pretty much Raven is not doing that.
I feel like when people... I barely want one husband, let alone having a husband with multiple wives.
I know complications.
And the thing about it is, if you were practicing it correctly in this day and age in the U.S., I don't see it working because people ain't got enough money to buy every woman a house.
They do on Sister Wives.
Alex, over to you now.
Some of our people.
Well, I can't buy everybody a house. I can't buy everybody a house, but I can, you know, I got extra rooms in my house.
See, and that's my problem.
Now just.
But you know what? It's just some woman out there right now, no offense, who feels like she feels like either her self-esteem is so low or she feels like the bar for men is so low that she'll tolerate that. I'm not knocking her. I feel that her experiences are valid. Because I met this woman in Ghana just when I was there, and she was like, she was looking to be a second wife for this man who was like in his 60s, right? Beautiful sister. And then I told the Ghanaians, they bust out laughing and started making fun of her. They said, so she's not good enough to be the first one or the only one?
That's a good question.
That's what you think?
Wow. For me personally, I wouldn't want to do that anyway because one, I am way too jealous. I don't like to share. So I am not about to be sharing anything, okay? We're not doing that. Never have, never will, never, 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 okay? This is going to be Neverland. Me, in the words of Willie, me in this house is going to be a Neverland, okay? But I mean, yes, can do it.
Go back to like the actual question, like the stigma behind it. I was thinking, you know, just having the kids out of wedlock, that became normal to me. Like literally just seeing it. It became normal. You know, it became normal to me. So people like my brother, and I always applaud him. You know, he got married, and you know they want to spend 1 or 2 years traveling and getting to know each other even more after marriage or whatever, and then have kids or whatever timeline they have. But I applaud them all the time because I grew up just seeing that. People having 10 kids and things like that. So, and just complaining about the baby mama and whatever, that just became normal to me.
He chose to have more than one child with, but that's where the shade sign.
Wow. And on that note, that is how we end this episode because it looked like. But no, thank you guys so much for joining this episode. This is very interesting though. And the viewers and listeners at home, I want you to listen, take note of what we talked about. Listen, you ain't got to be out there doing everything else like everybody doing. Just do what's right for you, okay? If you feel like you want to have kids or getting married, please do what's right for you, okay? Trust me. You don't want to be, I'm not even going to use the word I was going to say, but thank you so much for joining in and tuning in. Always remember, you can always follow us on IG, Saturday Shade, Twitter, SSU and Kabutey, and don't forget to hashtag Saturday Shade. As always, Saturday Shade, it is all about the fun.